Boom, 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 boom. The reason why I do that, because when I played music before, YouTube flagged that shit. It took it down. Like just I played a little snippet. I had like, oh, this is a tight little song to come into. I played a snippet and I was like, your thing has been flagged. And I was like, dang, it was literally 3 seconds.
Oh yeah,
And then they don't play with that. And then on top of that, then after that, they just took it down. I was like, all right, so I'm beatboxing now. Boom, 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 boom. They can't flag that. But people, we are back. We locked in place, quarantined. But I'm here. We here. I think we're streaming live. I need to come up with a better, like, what's the word I'm looking for? A better intro for the culture conversation. But here you have your boy, Mr. Hip Politics, Mr. Cameron Calvin Trimble, aka Mr. Cameron Calvin, aka Mr. 216 to the 202. I'm here because the studio, I was scared to go out of the studio today, so we got the little green screen backdrop. We'll see how this works out. But we're here for another culture convo, another one of these culture conversations, the digital happy hour experience, where we get culture creators throughout from the hip hop generation, whether they don't just have to be in hip hop music or in politics, but just throughout the overall culture. And anyone who knows me knows I am a comedy stan. I tried stand up for like one time for 3 minutes, sucked at it. This is like 12 years ago. I even had a joke book at one time. But I realized quickly, like, hey, that's not my calling. But I love to uplift comedians. I think comedians are some of the truth tellers and the griots of our culture, of our world. And there's so many things you can learn from comedy that it's almost like it's like the candy with the medicine. Like some of the best comics are giving you their real life, really touching on topical issues or major themes. When you got everybody from the Dave Chappelle's and the Chris Rocks to going back to the George Carlins and the Richard Pryors and everybody in between. Like comedy has always been kind of a great reflection on our society and a great voice for so many different people. And now the comedy game has blown up, and comedy is ubiquitous. And our guest today for the Culture Convo, and I say this all the time, and she probably is going to get tired of me saying this. I seen her first ever show. I think it was like 19 years ago. First ever show. So it's really special just to literally, I've probably been to at least 20 times, seen her stand up 20 times and just watch her grow over the years. And dude, these last few years, she took off like a rocket. Just a couple of accolades that I'll run down. You remember that short-lived show 50 Central when 50 Cent stuck up BT for a check? He stuck up BT for a check. Well, guess what? She was all over that shit. She went to the major Just For Laughs festival in Montreal where like comedy stars and legends were born. She had most recently, you can catch her still on EPIX right now, Unprotected Sets. She has some stuff in Comedy Central. And then and if you know comedy, you know this is probably the pinnacle of comedy right now. She's been doing sets in the Comedy Cellar in New York. Legendary place. People been in the game 20 years and ain't touched that stage. And she's been not only touching stages, but killing it. She's fine as hell. And she got big teeth. Because she always talks about her teeth, and I won't even say, I'll let you tell you the type of things. I mean, she's gone through a lot. Her life has been on display. She's been fearless. And like I said, some people God put on this earth to do certain things. And I'm glad she found this. And she's like an old person or young person because she got that wisdom. But she's like 10 years younger than me. But anyways, I done built her up enough. Welcome to the stage for the Culture Convo today. We've got Miss Paris Sashay. Paris, what's good?
That was an amazing intro right there. People gonna have to come hard now. I'm gonna need 5 minutes of introductions from now on. That was great. But I'm good. Life is good. I can't complain. That is true. You were at the first show. You seen me grow. That was 7 years ago. So I've been doing comedy for 7 years. It'll be 8 in October. So that's amazing. Yeah, it's good. Sometimes I go back and watch my old tapes just to see my beginning years up until now, and it's definitely a drastic change. But it's good to watch just to see that if you believe in yourself, you can go as far as you want to go. That's what I believe.
Hold up. Don't give a bunch of people false hope. You talented as hell. So you
true.
believed in yourself and you had talent.
That's true. But if you believe in yourself and you work hard, sometimes hard work beats talent. So if you believe in yourself, you can be whoever you want to be. Hence, the president right now. You just got to believe in yourself. That's
Talk about a fool who got full self-belief. Full self-belief.
Yeah, you can go as far as you want to go if you believe in yourself. So that played a part in it. And hard work, of course, too, and talent. All the things that add together. The pay, when it pays off, it pays off. And now I feel like I'm in my payoff stage, so it's good to see. And I was also just on Punk'd on Quibi.
Is that so? I saw that Quibi show. Let's talk about your career for a little bit. Like the reason why this platform is Culture Convo is, again, it's meant to have conversations with culture creators, and I really consider you that. Like, you're from the DMV. Mm-hmm. You're born here, or I know you were raised here. Were you born here?
I was born and raised in DC. Then I moved to Silver Spring Middle School.
Silver Spring, which another comedy legend is from Silver Spring, Mr. Dave Chappelle. Right. DC sneaky wise. DC has a ton. I'm about to take these glasses off because I'm getting mad shine. Ooh, they're not ready for this. DC sneakily. I said sneakily. That's not a word. But DC sneaky has some of the biggest it has a strong comedic history.
A lot of big names come out of DC. I feel like
DC or the DMV area as a whole, to be respectful of Maryland and Virginia. But you got Dave Chappelle, Martin Lawrence, Tony Woods, Donnell Rawlins, aka Ashley Larry.
Wanda Sykes.
Who? Wanda Sykes is from DC?
She's from like DC. I think she lived in Virginia at a point. Yeah, she's from the area.
That right there, that list right there is like legendary. Plus so many more comedians and comics that are coming up. Red Grant is doing this thing. He from the area. You got some, right. I mean, Joe Claire. You got a ton of people. And it's funny, I'm curious, what is it about DC or the DMV area that fueled your comedy fire?
I think DC is honest as a comedy scene. Being as though I traveled all over the world and traveled a lot of places, I feel like DC give you what you give them. So if you come in being dry and not being funny, DC not gonna get you no laughs. It's authentic. They sense it and they give you what you give them. So I feel like DC breeds killers on stage because you have to be good. I think so. You have to be good in order to get their attention and for them to support you. There's a lot of comedians that's been performing for a lot of time, but they haven't gone past here because you have to gain your people first before you even leave and then come back. So I feel like DC is just an honest city when it comes to comedy.
Something, one of my favorite stand-up comedians, and I've thank God I've had the pleasure to, I shot a pool with him once and had the pleasure to chop it up with him once. But he's both said this in private and on stage. Tony Rock, great stand-up comedian. He's an actor. He was originally, I mean, he's also the younger brother of Chris Rock, but he's a stand-up comedy giant in his own right. And it's got a 15, 20-year career. Super funny. He's said in interviews before, he said on stage, because I've seen him like 3 or 4 times in DC and in a private conversation. DC is his favorite city for comedy. He said because it's the mix of like the intelligence, you got a smarter base of people. He's like, even the people who didn't go to college, just because they work in the government and so much information and so many essentially just smart people and stuff, like even the hood is smart out here. He was like, so many women and men are bossed up. People are just like, they get it, but it's also a melting pot because it's a transient city. You got people who are from DC, from Maryland, from Virginia here, mixed in with tons of people from all over the country because it's the nation's capital. So he's like, a lot of different cultures are represented, but it's just they're smart. They take stuff seriously, but not too serious. So you can do smart comedy and slapstick. Like a lot of different lanes can work in DC. But like you said, you got to find your base, your culture. I mean, your people.
That's how your people.
And I think you did a good job of that. I mean, I'm one of your people. You and Rollo, I'm one of y'all people. Like I see you put up something. I actually check my calendar. Like, yo, can I go? Now that I make a little bit more money, I can actually go to all the joints. Sometimes the little $10-$20. Back when you first met me, I was struggling. I still was waiting tables on the side just to make
struggling. Yeah, everybody tickets were much cheaper then because everybody was struggling. It was a lot of more free shows. Like that was the era of gaining the people. Before you were actually charging the people. You just wanted to get the fans so you can have fans to charge. So I feel like that was an establishment in my career. Being as though where I am now, where the Teeth and Titties campaign is.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. I was gonna let you say that.
So Teeth and Titties campaign, it was created after the assault that happened because I feel like my titties saved me from the damage that could have been worse than it already was. I feel like it was at a point where I hit the ground, but then my titties saved me. So I was like the Teeth and Titties campaign, and I had to get my front 2 teeth. I had fake teeth for a couple months, so they had to fix those teeth. So that's how I came up with the Teeth and Titties campaign. And after I started it, it's just like people really support the campaign, whether it be for good smiles or whether it be for good titties, because good titties do matter. So
they do.
You put them together, and it's like the best of both worlds. You can't lose. So that's where I am now.
I don't want to touch on it too much, but like I'm so glad you're alive and made it through that situation. For those who don't want to know more, like it's well documented. It's
everywhere. You can Google it.
It's well documented. You can go look up Paris and stuff. But the fact that you're able to get through that, be strong, come out stronger. And I've seen you touch on it here and there occasionally, like, and even find some comedy in it is like shows kind of some inner strength in you as a person. And to me, that actually, I think not saying you weren't serious at all times, but I know this is like, just like you went harder. I feel like some of those things and those adversities you went through made you go even harder for what you were doing.
Yeah, it definitely was a wake-up call to be like, you really got to protect your energy and protect the places that you go when you're working on being a name, as well as people reached out to me to be like a hero in a sense. Like people were looking up to me because of my strength. So then it was like I had to take on that responsibility as well. So yeah, I definitely think it made me go harder and just realize like life is short. In a blink of an eye, something crazy and tragic can happen like that. So while you have it, you have to enjoy it and just work hard to be remembered.
Yes. So like I said, well, you clearly are here for a purpose. Because like skyrocket, you like every time I look up, I see you announcing some shit. I'm like, okay. I know you, and I know you probably getting, for all the love you're getting, the haters, which also know that lets you know you're really on your job and doing what you're supposed to do. But over the last 2 or 3 years, I'm curious, like I rattled off a few things that you're involved in. A 2-part question. What is your favorite thing you've done in the last, let's say 50 Central was 2018?
20, like maybe 17? Maybe it came
so let's go 2017, let's 2020. So the last 3 years when stuff like your TV credits have been coming, you've been touring more. What's your favorite thing that you've done? Like your personal favorite. And then also, it might not be your favorite, but what was the thing that you feel like was the biggest thing you've done that like, oh, I've seen, oh, my price went up, or I've seen, or it meant the most to like whether larger community. So what's your favorite thing you've done? And if it is the same or different, what's the biggest thing you think you've done since then?
My favorite thing I've done, shooting Punk was really fun. I feel like it's in the top favorites because it just gave me a chance to like be a comedian, but be a comedic actor. So it allowed me to step out of who I am to be in another character role. But EPIX,
tell me, can you before you go into what the biggest thing, tell us a little bit more about that, because I think it's on Quibi, and I'm sorry, but Negroes ain't got to Quibi yet.
Yeah,
He's still trying to catch on.
Unfortunately, people don't believe in downloading apps. You got to literally send somebody a link and walk them through for them to download an app. But what's funny is that's the same way people were with EPIX until they made it a real channel, and then they started putting shows on there people wanted. Now everybody's catching up on it. So Punk, I was on set. I shot about 3 episodes, but the only one that's out right now is the one that we punked Offset. So I got to set.
Offset.
So Offset. Yeah. So I flew to LA that morning, and the crazy thing about the production is they didn't tell you who you were working with. They just gave you the scene, the scenario, the role you would be playing. And then I arrived, I got there, and they're like, oh yeah, Chance the Rapper's here. He's gonna be the host. So I'm like, oh wow, okay. And then you go from Chance the Rapper to they're like, yeah, Offset and Quavo should be here any minute now. Now that morning that I rode the plane to LA, I was in first class. And I was sleeping.
Okay, they sent you first class, or you did that?
No, they did that. First class. Okay. 2019, late 2019, early 2020 was a good year. A lot of first class seats, a lot of do-rags and looking at white people funny because I'm up here too. It's amazing.
Don't it feel weird when they look at you? They be like, what do you see? You are entertained.
What do you do? And it's like, listen, we're in the same row, bitch, okay? We do something similar that we both hear. Don't worry about that. So I rode the plane that morning, first class, me and the baby, the only Black people in first class.
Hold up, you and the baby?
Baby, yeah, the baby.
Like so that's first. The rapper, the baby.
The rapper, the baby.
He was coming from DC too?
No, he was coming from, so I think he came from maybe North Carolina, maybe, because it was a layover. So I caught one plane and then I got on the other one from, I think, North Carolina, going to LA. He was on that plane. So it was crazy. Wow. He was the only Black person besides me. So when he see me, we look at each other like, oh, you Black, you Black. And then he like, good morning. I'm like, good morning. That was cool. Went to sleep, woke up, went to set. It's Chance the Rapper, Quavo, and Offset. So I'm like, oh wow, this is like, and you have to get into it because when you're shooting an episode of Pump, you only have a limited amount of time to trick these people for the show to go good. So that was a fun experience just to be in there, in the presence of the rappers, smelling the money,
and the weed,
smelling the money, the weed, working with them for a purpose. So that might be one of my favorite experiences. And the second episode I shot, the biggest is probably EPIX because I got a lot of Unprotected Sets on EPIX because Wanda Sykes was the executive producer. You know what? Okay, the biggest moment. Here it is. Just for Laughs, Montreal.
I was about to say. Yeah.
Okay, no, because I had to think. See, it wasn't the whole festival. Being there it definitely was a blessing, but it was an exact moment. So I seen Lil Rel at the festival.
Mm-hmm. Lil Rel Howery. Get Out and all TV shows that got canceled. But yes.
Right. So he sent me a message on Instagram prior. Like, I seen your YouTube. It was like 2 videos up there. You funny. I want to see more. Let me know when you're in town. So then I ran into him at a party at Just For Laughs. So he's like, Paris. And I was like, real? And he was like, I'm having a show tomorrow. Come do my show. So I was supposed to leave the following morning. He said, come do his show the next night. So I stayed, did his show. I get to his show. I don't know Wanda Sykes is in the crowd. I didn't see Wanda Sykes. I was backstage. So I do Lil Rel's show. It's Lil Rel and Friends. I go out, I do 5 minutes, I kill. Wanda Sykes walked from backstage and was like, hey, Paris, you were funny as shit. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. Like, she was here? Like, I wasn't even prepared to perform like stars were in the room. I was just performing. So she was like, yeah. So then we got to talking about DC. She got to telling me how she liked me. We took pictures. It was a vibe. 2 months later, I got the call to do Unprotected Sets.
Wow.
So that's the dopest moment. The
reason why I'm glad you mentioned that festival. For a lot of people who may not know, like who don't know comedy, like that's probably the biggest global comedy festival in the world. Like so many different
All-star
careers
game
going on.
of comedy.
What?
It's like the all-star game of comedy.
It's like the all-star week or weekend of and game of comedy. Like so many big sets, smaller shows, but like that's where all the producers, executive producers, writers from all like Hollywood, like if I'm gonna go find out what comedians to go put in my pilots and movies, I'm gonna send talent scouts out there. All the big comedians love going out there. They seem to get comedy. You can look up the Just for Laughs festival and see some iconic sets from all the biggest comedians for years there. I've never gotten to go like I said, as a comedy super fan, like just as a fan, that is like on my bucket list of like conferences or like I need to go to this. Like I just want to go and see as many comedy shows as I can in the weekend. And like
you just need to take a nap. If you're going to go to Just for Laughs Festival, take a nap the week before because there's a lot of sleeping when you get there. They don't tell you. Every party, every night doesn't end until 6 o'clock in the morning. Every night.
Okay.
So it's a good time. Every party, every night didn't end. So that was big. And then performing with Michael Che in Boston at the Wilbur Theater. I think it might seat 500, a little over 5. 2 sold out shows back to back going 20 minutes. I'm doing my set and he's sitting on the side of the stage, but I didn't even know that he was sitting on the side of the stage. And I get off and he's telling me my jokes word from word that he hasn't heard, that he loves. That was another top moment.
That's dope. Michael Che from Saturday Night Live, first black head writer for Saturday Night Live, does Weekend Update for people who don't know. But did he pick you to be on that tour or you got that through your agent?
So I met Michael Che in DC. He was doing a festival. I hosted the festival for him.
Which one? The Underground Comedy Festival?
The Underground Comedy Festival. Okay. He came back. He liked me. So his agent reached out to me and then I opened for him at the Howard Theater. So we did the Howard Theater together. Me, him, and Nimesh Patel came back on stage. He also used to be a writer for Saturday Night Live. We came back on stage at the end. We all had our own mic and we passed out shots to the crowd.
That's dope.
So that was a dope moment. We passed out shots and we just riffed on stage for like 30 minutes. Such a vibe. It was a great moment.
That's dope. You know, one thing that I noticed, and this is me observing you and take this as well. I also realized a lot of these synergies start happening when you really honed in on what look you were going for. I remember you used to play with your hair. Your hair was mad different colors, lengths, and styles. You just had different kind of looks on your clothes. But I feel like at some point you honed in. You don't always wear the ostentatious glasses, but you honed in on like the glasses, sometimes the hats. But it's like whatever this glow look you got, you finally you committed to just I'm gonna go with the short hair. It's usually blonde, but sometimes.
So I realized the deeper that I got into the industry, you have to find your image. Like, what will people recognize you for? And if you're changing your looks consistently while you're building the image, that's hard for people to remember. So you have to lock in with the image and then design that image. So once I realized that the cut was the image, I was like, okay, there's nobody that's in the industry with the cut who talk about the things that I talk about. So I already stood out in that sense because there's not many other bald head Black girls, comedians that are dressing well. So right there, that already puts me in my own lane. I'm talking about my life, which nobody can talk about my life because they didn't live my life. So that puts me in my own lane again. So once I realized I'm in my own lane and I'm not competing with anybody but myself to be the best me, then that was the image that I went with and I stuck with. So now I think that's why it's so memorable.
It is like it's dope. Like you look like money. Like, the best way. You look like money.
In order to get the money, you have to look like money. They're like, oh, so she already has it. We need to work with her too, so we can collab.
No, but that's so real. That is proven true in so many aspects of my professional and personal life as well. So I definitely respect you look like money to attract the money. Fast forward. The reason why you're even on this right now, and I'm even having these culture convos, is because of the situation we were in. This was not a show I had pre-COVID. This was, but we are a digital media network, and we're Hip Politics as a platform and an organization is about mobilizing the political power of the hip hop generation. And so it's like, well, all mobilization efforts had to move online. Like this is a very serious pandemic. I know people who've been affected. I know people who've lost their lives already due to complications. Friends, family, like the economy is affected. So many things are really hitting home. And this is just shaking shit up. Like the world is vastly different right now, but I think even more so is what it's going to be vastly different. The landscape of so many things are going to look different, not just because of just the practical matter of like, all right, I still don't want to catch this in 6 months, so I need social distancing and all the rules, but people's psychology is different. Like locking people down for a month or 2 months and now scaring the bejesus out of them, so now they don't feel like, man, if you might get slapped if you cough anywhere near somebody. Like that's just a human reaction. And somebody might want to fight you. Somebody might fight you. And it's like, dude, say what?
The coughing, I said people are very upset right now. So coughing is almost like saying fuck you to somebody. Like it's that disrespectful now that Corona is out. It's that disrespectful. You can't cough. You gotta hold it in.
But the idea is like, dude, that's like a basic human function. Like
allergy season, pollen is out. You can't even react to your allergy. You got to cough in your coat.
Or sneeze, cough, sneeze, any of that. You better do that in your car by yourself, around nobody. Cause I done coughed in my car. I had to go somewhere and I seen the person next, like in the car next to me, look at me crazy. Like, dude, I'm in my car. And they're looking over like, what? But something that's gonna be affected and directly affects you is live events. I mean, you start to realize how much just the human culture, like not just in America, but the world, human culture is built around the gathering of people.
Interaction.
Human interactions on the lowest level and individual one-on-one, all the way to medium level when you talk about restaurants and stores that people just want to go and be around but interact with people. But then especially, and then I was reading an article today about how much lost revenue, how many jobs are lost in sports and entertainment industry, is that like we go to live concerts, we go to live comedy shows, we go to live sporting events, we go to live festivals, like whether you're talking the big Coachella level and stuff like Governor's Ball, or you just talking about the 8th Street Festival and people walking around, like that's like a cornerstone from both on the national to a local level, is getting people together. Fairs, like we're entering like the state fair season. We're entering like the festival season and like the summer party. And then, but with you specifically, like comedy is meant to be performed in front of people. I believe that, because I like I said, that I've talked to enough comedians to know that the energy you feed off of people on stage, like that's part of the reward of being a comedian.
Comedians come alive off of energy from crowds. So being in this era now where we're like forced to do comedy online, I look at it more as comedy conversations. Because
like comedic conversations?
Yeah, I look at it as comedic conversations, because you can't give the energy that you would give at a show to a comment section. Now, when it's on Zoom, it's fun, but then you can't pick and choose people in specific you want to talk to. So like Zoom, I would say Zoom is like the closest to it because you can see, but you still can't feel that energy, and people are at home. So you can only tell people to be quiet at home for so long. You're in your own house. You shouldn't have to follow rules at home. At a comedy show, people talking to you like, hey, be quiet, you're at the show. It's like, bitch, I'm in my living room. Don't tell me to be quiet in my house. So it's hard when you're used to getting energy off of the things that you're saying, but then people feel like, oh, comedians, we need you the most right now. It's like, tell us something funny. And it's hard because some of the funniest stuff is ignorant. And it's hard to be ignorant and not sensitive in this current time. Because everything we're thinking as comedians, somehow trying to find the funny in it. People, we're missing money consistently right now. We missing the interaction, we missing people, and we miss people. We just miss people in general. So the fact that we're not getting the energy or the conversations from people and we're not getting the money, a lot of comedians are going crazy at home right now. A lot of people are finding out that they don't like themselves because you are forced to just be alone. It's insane. If you don't like you, this is a hard time, especially if you're single, because you're just walking around the house getting on your own goddamn nerves. You keep using dishes and you mad that you got to keep washing them. It's only you. So
it's only you.
So it's hard. And it's like, it's taken a big loss because right before it got serious, I was at Virginia Beach, Funny Bone for that weekend. Then I went to LA.
I like that. I seen Corey Holcomb down there before.
This is when I knew things was going to get real. A white woman coughed in the crowd. Everybody looked at her. This is before everybody was going crazy. But she coughed, everybody looked at her like, what's going on? And she was like, I got corona. Like a joke. And it was like, nobody didn't laugh because that's not funny. She really thought this was fun. Like she was in the front row. I'm like, bitch, you're too close to the stage. Like, this is not funny. So in that moment right there, I was already skeptical about returning back to the stage because I'm like, this is only going to get worse. And if we have people who are out here playing, how are we going to know who really has it and who don't? So then I got to LA, and when the comedy clubs started to close, I knew it was serious. Like comedy clubs actually shutting down, because that means that the comedy club itself is losing money. All of the workers are losing money and the artists are losing money. So when comedy comes back, it's going to be weird because it's going to be the biggest names that gets time. You're not going to see a lot of up and coming comedians on the scene. You're going to have to be known, or people that are going to get the work are going to have to know you, because it's going to be a war. You got to think about it. Comedy got canceled in March. So people that had dates in March, April, and May, they have to get their days replaced. People that had
March, April, May, and June, you better extend that out to June.
No, I'm saying March, April, and May, they have to get dates, but then you have the summer rush. They have to get their date removed. And then you have the people who were probably coming in the winter. They also have to get dates. And then you have people like Dave Chappelle, who is just going to want to go on stage just to talk. He Dave Chappelle. You can't say no. So the time is going to be limited for up and coming artists. So this will be the time for me. I think this is a time that people use social media to their advantage, because that's where you're going to have to create your crowds from, and you're going to have to start having independent shows. That's actually
a good analysis, because I didn't even, I guess that the same thing is happening in music, because everybody who had tours booked now, like, are now having to either refund or push their tours back. But then people already had and have deposits on the tours in the summer, they're pushing it back. And then now they're fighting with all the, because touring is something that can be mapped out, like on the music scene, especially these big festivals and touring are mapped out a year plus in advance sometimes. Okay. So it's like the domino effect that you see, in the same thing with movies. Is like movies that got pushed back and now they got to go to the fall, and then but then that creates competition. And but I didn't think about it like how that's because I'm the same way I found you and Rollo and stuff. Like, I love underground up and coming comics where you see eight motherfuckers and 2 of them are funny, but I like finding them too. And I like sometimes I like that. Like, I'm one of those people who will spend that $0 to $20 to go see a no-name comedians, because I like that level of comedy in addition to the big comedy. And it makes sense, because now when they open up, all the venues are so hurting for money because they've missed out on so money. It's like, and they need to make sure they're getting people who fill butts and seats and who have the biggest name, because they got to get back as much money as possible.
Right, pay cut. So it's going to change drastically. People that used to charge maybe 10,000 for a weekend, they're going to take a pay cut because the club has to make their money back and they have to employ people, and they weren't getting paid all this time. So everybody's taking a budget cut in comedy. Everybody.
Then on top of that is the psychology of like the fan, because you gotta. It's one thing for, that's why I said June, because say DC Improv opens up in June, June 15th. I don't know who's there. Say it's Tony Rock, a person who's well known, headline comedian, TV credits, sells out, does multiple shows. All the for all his fans and so forth, people might want to go see him,
right?
But we feel the psychology of just being in a close and fine place with people. And then the other thing I think you didn't touch on, but I'm curious, is like now these social distancing rules, because as things are opening up, you're starting to see the rules of like, well, like movie theaters, they now can only sell a certain amount of tickets and people got to be 3 and 4 seats away from each other. So it's like movie theaters are only 25 or 50% full. Comedy clubs are, because most comedy clubs, to me, the good ones are low ceilings, dark. They focus your energy on the stage, but they also comedy clubs are people always wonder like, why am I so packed in here? Because they don't make enough money. They need to fill every one of those seats. That's why they force you to get two drink or 2 item minimums, because it's a low margin business
for the performer and for the club. So,
exactly.
So yeah, it's going to be less seats at clubs. So that's another reason why you're going to have to take a pay cut, because now if it was originally a 250 seater, it might go down to 175 to spread it out. And then you have a lot of people who are going to be like, I don't want to go. So now the clubs are going to have to start convincing people. It's going to be like a whole reset. The clubs are going to have to start convincing people to trust them again, that they can come back in there and feel safe and it's clean. So now you have to maybe go down on the food prices, maybe go down on the drink prices, maybe remove the 2 drink minimum, because you're going to have to do whatever it takes now to make the customer happy, to win them back over for your business. So I talked to some people in the industry today, and they're saying live comedy probably won't be back for the remainder of the year.
Do you mean it like in terms of not even shows at all, or just like the energy won't be back?
Like shows at all, basically, because the limit still has to follow suit. So even with taping, it has to be, I think they said 50 people or less. So if you shoot in the show and it's only 50 people, that really tallies back down to like 25. So if they can't have that many people on set for shooting the show, the comedy clubs, probably varying on each club specifically, may have to cut their numbers in half. So if the Improv opens up and they say they have 250 seats, it might be 150 seats now. And will people even feel comfortable with 150? That means what? Now the club has to have more shows. So I think when we do come back, I think how it used to be like maybe 2 shows a night, I think they might start squeezing in maybe 3 to 4 shows a night. Make the shows earlier, because now people are going to be in such a high demand to get out the house. So everything's going to have to get changed around. So it's going to be weird. I think it's definitely going to be weird for the first couple of months, but it's going to be good just to see it build the entire thing over again. It's going to be like a fresh start.
For everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Something else you touched on just real briefly in that is like when you suggested like what the up and coming comedians or people need is the online and social media. Like this is the time, again, like going back to what we're here, like creators gonna create. And it's almost like the internet, there's never really been rules on the internet, but right now it's no rules. It's open season on like, if you could create something to create an audience. And how everybody is a comedian now. TikTok is more than just music videos. People are they almost turn it into a new Vine with like comedy and so forth. People are trying to like do their skits. One comedian I really like, 2 comedians I really like have been doing stuff like just randomly on IG Live. Afion Crockett and Godfrey. Those are both comedians that I follow and I'm a big fan of. And I've watched like just like Afion is heavy on the lives. Like, that fool be going live with everybody, like every comedian he knows. But he's a vet in the game, been around.
Good though, because you if you keep seeing him on people's lives, then you're gonna go follow his page because now you're a fan. So it's smart.
It is smart, and I think that what's some things that you've been doing to I guess tap into like the digital culture of comedy.
So I've been releasing old clips of stand-up that I just never put out because prior to this, I was barely ever posting comedy clips. I'm like, come to a show. So now, since this has happened, I have just tapped back into all of the recorded videos I have. And I just put out 1 minute to 3 minutes of a joke just to bring people in. And then people have been tagging people and I've been gaining followers off of that. So being consistent, at least dropping 1 joke a week, it gives people something to wait for. So within that week, people are like, okay, what day is she going to drop the jokes? And then I'll just post pictures leading up to that just to keep people waiting. Funny captions. Everybody's on the internet now. So everybody's watching your story. Everybody's looking to see if there's going to be comedy. And from doing a lot of these online shows, people are actually enjoying it because it's the closest thing to feeling like you can touch a person. You can hear them.
You can hear them, but yeah, talk to me about your online shows. Like, I feel you held something for Rollo's birthday, but that wasn't necessarily a comedy show. So I haven't like paid or even attended any like online comedy show. I've seen them pop up in here and there, but I'm curious, like, what's an online comedy show like?
So how people have been doing them all different ways. That's another thing with it being online and it being for your market, whatever your market is, and you can make it how you want to make it. So it's not a set way. So people have been doing them different ways. The way me and Rollo hosted our show, It's a Vibe. We hosted it, we talked, we had somebody sing, and we were supposed to have a comedian to come on to actually do a 10-minute set. And then we were going to close out. I've seen other people, some people are standing up in their living room actually moving around with a microphone, making it feel like it's a real show, but then they don't know if nobody's laughing because you have to come back to your phone and look at the comments. You have other people on Zoom, the host, it will be 2 hosts, they'll talk. Some people have been having DJs. So it's some DJs on Zoom spinning and then they'll mute their screen when a performer comes on. So it's like, they'll be like, you can talk and tell jokes for 10 to 20 minutes, or you can talk to the host and the jokes will create themselves. And then I did one on Facebook yesterday. So you can create private groups on Facebook, and in the private groups, you can go live. So I did a show yesterday where they were charging people on Cash App. You Cash App them the money, then they send you to this private group. And in this private group, the performers go live. And then you can see them and they can write in the comments. So that was fun.
That's actually some game right there. Cause I've been trying to find a way, like, that's like a cool life hack without having to go to like a additional, cause all these digital platforms are popping up. Like, we're actually Hip Politics, we're planning like a digital, like, voting, like voter registration concert on like a new, it's Zoom like, but it's like a more robust platform. But all these different platforms, but that's actually something smart. I didn't even think about it.
That was my first time doing it, and I was like, oh, this isn't bad because you don't have to download a new app. Everybody has Facebook. So you literally just accept the invite to the group, and when the performer goes live, everybody that's in the group can see the performer, but people that's not in the group can't see it. So that's the exclusiveness of it, because
they can't repost it. Because if it's a private group,
it's only in the group. So only the people in the group can see it. You can watch it again if you
and Facebook don't get a cut of that.
No, that's all your money.
That's all your money.
So that's a good way. I feel like if somebody was to do a live concert, that would be interesting for the people because you're in this private group. So it makes it almost feel like you're at a private show.
That's true. That's true. The only way you could probably make that, yeah. You're right. That's just because I work in communications and marketing and a lot of clients. I'm actually about to
look that up.
I'm taking that idea back to a strategy session on Monday that we got.
You should. That was a good one, and it worked. And all people did was have to click, and they came in and they were very active in the comments. I will say that too. So that was the good part about it. Like they were responding to every single thing they liked. But Ali Sadiq on Instagram, he's been doing a weekly comedy show. I think every Wednesday and Friday.
On Instagram?
On Instagram. So he goes live and then he goes live with his DJ. And when he brings up an artist, the DJ, he X's out with the DJ and the performer comes in. And he just lists everybody cash out so people tip who they want. Then that's been consistent from the beginning of quarantine. So I feel like he's built a crowd with that. And it's actually funny. So that, and it's free. You just tip if you want.
It's good. Wow. Like, I just hope comedy comes back because comedy is needed. And this is an election year. Like, you got to get Trump the heck out of office. And I feel like comedy, some of the best comedic sets and like some of my favorite like stand-up comedy sets happen in or around elections. Because just it's and now we're in such a hyper-partisan, hyper-focused area. Like Trump, for what you say, all the crap and bad things he has done, he has juiced up the media, juiced up politics. He's actually made people more politically aware because like whatever he's doing, I need to pay attention because he's about to kill somebody or steal somebody's money.
We never had to be this active with politics up until now. Now we need to know, is he about to kill us and the whole world up or not? Like now we are tuned in.
Even at the most basic, even in the hoodest barbershops and in the most basic levels, people who never followed that, they got a little bit of knowledge. They like, yo, I do. They checking CNN at least for 5 minutes. Like, hold on.
Homeless people know. Homeless people like, fuck Trump. I'm like, you seen the news too? Like everybody knows.
But
not okay.
Yeah, and I think I've always, since I was a child and I've loved comedy, I've always had I've just reveled in the fact that like when comedy can like really shape the political narrative or inform people, The Daily Show and things like that, Stephen Colbert and his platforms, and so many people who use that comedy as a way to kind of give us real information. But I wanted to close out. I know we have had you here and I just appreciate your time. And I appreciate some of the gaming, your insight and stuff like that. Cause that, like I said, those are some really cool points. Something we talked about earlier, but that is coming up. And I actually was there. I got to be at the taping of your album that should be dropping. Who knows when? Are you allowed to talk?
It's coming up. So
should I bring that? Should I do not?
No, you can bring it up. Because I actually just sent in the album cover. So pre-sales will be up within a week and a half.
All right, talk to us about it. Comedy album. Talk to us.
My first comedy album. I've been wanting to drop an album for like a year and a half, but I was skeptical. I was like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm not ready. Do I want to give these? It's a lot that goes in your mind with putting the album out because you're sensitive about your art and you have questions. Like, is it ready? So after
you're an artist, you're sensitive about your shit.
Yes.
As Erykah Badu.
Right. So after talking to a few different people and running the set a few different times, I was ready to start doing new jokes. So I recorded an hour called My Honest Ignorance, because it's me being honest, but also being ignorant, but also telling my truth. So I recorded that at the DC Improv. Shout out to the DC Improv. You were there. A lot of my day one people was there, so it felt good just to have that support in the room and to whip out new jokes that people hadn't heard. So it was like I want to put out the old material because I'm done using it, but then it was like also know that I have been working, but I'm not putting all of the new things on this album.
No, they were funny. They were funny. You had some new perspectives and some new jokes. Like, I'm curious. I can't wait to hear knowing what in the moment versus like how it comes out audio and streaming. Like, I just can't wait to hear it. So I say that again. It's like
I think your laugh is on a couple of the tracks. So because I had to find.
Do I get paid for that? Do you just? I get paid.
Nobody getting paid. We appreciate it though. Definitely, we appreciate it. We'll pay you back in tickets as the campaign continues to increase. But about a week and a half because I just sent that back in today for finals. So it should be dropping pre-order about a week and a half. It'll be on all platforms. It'll be on my website, officialparissashay.com. And I'll do promo. I'll probably do a video a day. I might go live to talk about it, take some questions. So I'm doing a nice little run leading up to the album date. And I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it dropping and just getting the feedback from people, because people have been wanting to purchase something during this quarantine. So I feel like that'll be a way to help people get through this laughter that we all need. And it's my honest ignorance. So
My honest ignorance. I like that. I like that name. That's dope. Yes, people do want something to purchase during the campaign. One thing that I think you slipped on as we wrapped up, but I'm hoping you activate on, teeth and titties, support the campaign. Why is that not on a t-shirt?
It is being worked on right now, because I didn't want to just put it out. I'm over the edge in my head, so I had to find the right way that I wanted to put it into a piece of art. I didn't just want it to be Teeth and Titties campaign just on the shirt. That's lazy. I wanted
but if it just, I guarantee there'll be people, because I see people with more and more ignorant and wild t-shirts. Yeah. You just writing teeth and titties. That's enough. All right, we're gonna do it. No, do the art. You the artist. I'll do it how you need to.
I'll do a test run, because I can have those shirts up in 2 days.
You can have those up tonight on Teespring and just write teeth and titties on it.
I'm gonna do a test run. You know what? Teespring. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna make a little edit. I'm gonna put it in my story. See if the people want it. If they want it, boom. Shipment coming soon.
So, and you ain't even got to do nothing with Teespring. Like, they just order and they give you a cut. Like, you just create the design and create a link, and you don't.
Okay, well, look, we want to something. So you behind these shirts that's going to drop right before the album. Maybe I'll do a package, like an album and a t-shirt package.
I mean, they do it in music. They do it they bundle all the time, and it creates a financial incentive. And then the other big thing, the reason why I would say push the t-shirts and push the shirts and stuff like that is it becomes like a walking embodiment and advertisement. Like, people who gonna buy it, really, especially if I'm gonna buy it from a comedian, that means I really fuck with this comedian. Like, right. I really mess with them. So if I'm willing to buy it, I'm gonna wear it. And when I wear it, especially if it's something that says teeth and titties, right. Like, it's gonna get looked at and like, what's that? Oh, Paris, like, think about just the multiplier effect. It'll be hard to quantify, but the multiplier effect of like something that's shocking out in the world, people that'll pay attention to it. Maybe if you do it as a hashtag, so then it's like, is there a hashtag that says teeth and titties? Right. And then look at the hashtag that could bring it back to you. The ones who are bold enough are going to talk to that. I'm assuming mostly it will probably be women who buy it, but they'll talk to them like, what's that about? Oh, it's just the multiplier effect of having, because I think the art is dope and you should do the art, but sometimes you like simplicity wins, and like just simplicity wins. Like, you should I think you could do both. And like,
we're gonna do a test run. That's all I needed to
do. No, that's the way. Yeah.
Test run Teeth and Titties. So stay tuned for the Teeth and Titties campaign t-shirts. Stay tuned for the album, My Honest Ignorance. Support the campaign. Don't get mad, get petty. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for just giving comedy in the world. Thank you for always being a real one. Thank you for persevering. Like I said, like, people like you, and then also we mentioned his name a few times, Rollo F. Boykins. Shout out Howard alum, but he's really who is the comedian that introduced me to you, because I knew him when I didn't see his first show, but I saw him within the first few months of him really getting on stage.
Okay.
And he's worked and done skits in some of my artist interviews. Like, he's just been a friend. We had a quick run podcast some years back. Like, just a bunch is going on, but his support for you, the Young Funny movement out here, and like some of the artists that you guys, the comedians you guys worked with, I just kept going back because I enjoyed myself. It was fun, and it almost made me feel cool, because like, well, these are all stars. Just because y'all don't know them yet, they're about to be, when they're on TV and they're on movies in 5, 10, 15, however many years it's gonna take. It's like, I got to be cool or know them and see them first. Like, I took pleasure in that. I'm always trying to amplify, because I think how important comedy is, just as a like I said, as a culture. You guys are our griots. Like, you guys are the griots of our generation.
We definitely appreciate your support. We definitely appreciate, like, the day ones in comedy. because of how brutal comedy can be in the beginning, they really matter. Like the people that push you and seen you bomb and seen you kill, those are the people that you want around because they're gonna be honest because they already seen you fail and they still came to another show because they believe in you.
To be honest, you ain't never really bombed in front of me.
You never
You've been
did.
average.
You must have done. I done had some. Listen, I had some bombs. When you bomb as a comedian, you regret the whole thing. You like, is this really my life? Like, it has to be something I'm better at. So I done had the bombs. I'm talking about the bombs that you feel it in your ankles. It feel like your socks too tight. Those bombs. Good thing you didn't see them. But even
I see you average like once or twice, and this was years ago in the first couple of years. But you always then had people always walked away like, "Oh, she funny. Who the girl with the pink hair? Who the girl with that? Or who the girl with the titty?" Oh,
I appreciate it because sometimes inside, whoa, it's different. It's different. It's worse than talking to the screens. Sometimes it gets deep, but as long as you keep going and you believe in yourself again to get back up there, you'll be great. You'll be successful, and you'll make it.
well, thank you for staying positive. Thank you for staying, giving us content.
Thank you for having.
Yeah, say the name of the album again.
My Honest Ignorance.
My Honest Ignorance. You heard it right here. She's also going to do a test run for the Teeth and Titty campaign t-shirt. She's got the official t-shirts coming out. Make sure, for everybody, make sure you get that pre-sale when it goes up. Follow her at Paris Sashay. That's Paris Sashay.
Yeah, you did.
Because I'm not looking at anything. I was like, am I saying it?
No, you got it right. I definitely appreciate that.
On all social media, make sure you check her out. Like I said, this is a person that it's cool because it's not like, oh, I'm putting somebody on and I'm cool with that. Y'all don't know. Like, no, she's a big freaking deal. And she is blowing up. So I'm thankful that like you recognize me like on that level. Thank you for supporting. I'm gonna ask you live on air. Please wear that hoodie I wore to you. Let me know when we can coordinate you wearing that in your story one time.
I'll take the picture. I might wear it with some shorts and the Air Max just to have another quarantine outfit. I got you. I'm gonna tag you in as soon as I post it.
I see you got fly for the quarantine.
I'm gonna get it with the picture. It gotta be a good picture. So I ain't forget. I just gotta put the outfit together.
No, hey, whenever you do it, I'm cool with it because it's just gonna be more amplifying. We'll make sure when she puts up the pre-sale, we'll have links to it and stuff like that. Make sure we put it on the website and on our socials and stuff for it, because this is the cool thing about comedy is that it's one of the longest careers you can have. God rest his soul, John Witherspoon just passed away.
Yes,
and right. I just seen that fool last year. In his late 70s. What is he? The late 70s? He's almost 80.
That's believing in yourself. There's no time limit when you got to stop. You just keep going.
And he was hilarious. He was actually hilarious. And I was like, "Dang, this is an old man, like hilarious." And he had jokes I hadn't heard or didn't know I was gonna hear. So it was really cool to see that. So it's like, it's actually, you've been going, like you said, 7-8 years, and it's like you're still a baby in this. Like, you got so many more years to go, so many more accomplishments, and just keep doing what you're doing. Keep centered, keep it real. I love to see you in love. Like, that's good. I seen that change and that brighten your day up. She keeping you flossed up, and she's funny too.
Yeah, so, she keep me on my toes and focused. You got to have somebody to keep you focused, because the higher you go, the more people are gonna want you, and you can slip up easily and take the wrong path, doing some shit you shouldn't have had no business doing, and then you got to get yourself out of there, and that's not good. So if you find somebody before the fame, that's even better, because I feel like they sticking with you for you as a person and not for what you have.
I agree. Well, it's been a beautiful thing. So Paris Sashay, I'm stamping it. Next one of the next queens of comedy.
That's right.
Just out here with the TNT campaign. Support the campaign. One of the flyest comedians out here. One of the funniest comedians out here. Keep entertaining us. Keep it going. I know your industry is tough and it's tough, but I think you also make sure you realize you're just not an inspiration for your fans and stuff. You're probably inspiration for other comics and stuff like that. So what to be doing right now. So keep it going. Thank you again for joining us for Culture Conversations.
Thank you.
And to all our Hip Politics family and fans, this has been another episode of the Culture Convo, digital happy hour experience, like where we go and have in-depth conversations with culture creators. This is born out of crisis, but I've been saying this: out of crisis comes creation. And so this is something that's going to keep going, because these dope conversations are really getting insight into what's going on throughout the hip hop generation in our culture. So with that, this is your boy, Mr. Cameron Calvin. Follow me on all platforms at Mr. Cameron Calvin. Follow at Hip Politics News, at Hip Politics Podcast across all platforms. And with that, Culture Convo. I need a closing because I'm like doing this, so I might do this. I don't know what I'm supposed to.
Just let that be it. Just do that for 30 seconds.
And I'm closing out. And then I need to be more streamless with the stopping of the live stream. All right, bye.